Okay, so a couple of the changes in here. I think the biggest one is the snapshot functionality. So now you can save a page um, by creating a snapshot. Once that snapshot's created, you can hop over here. This is all of that code, so you can reference it if you've gone further, but you're running into an error and you want to come back. And then you can just click this restore code button. We'll do that. Hopefully, I don't override anything that was important to me. But now that code is restored here. So we do have GitHub integrations, which I've mostly turned off. I've got a few things here that are just turned on for me because I have access to beta functionality. The GitHub is an important developer tool, but it's really hard to get right in the context of something like Slater, because you can have your team members, but those Slater team members may not be in sync with your GitHub team members. And so there's just a bunch of edge cases that we haven't solved for. So we pretty much turned that off. It works, but it has its limitations. And so this snapshot will work for everybody. It's more in the form of how Webflow handles snapshots. And so create a snapshot whenever you're going in a direction that you're not sure about. Hop back to that snapshot at any time. That should work really well, and it's really lightweight and easy to work with. Yesterday, I was working on a project. I had not pushed the snapshot functionality out yet, and so I found myself copying this entire chunk of code, moving it into a text editor, and just having it there off to the side, just in case I ran into some issues and I wanted to go back. So I'm excited for this feature myself. The other big thing is we have some controls over your AI. So now you can use GPT-4 if you toggle this on, and you'll notice, like right now, I've got this show code only. If I turn that off and I say, write a fetch request, it's going to tell me all about it. Something's running pretty slowly because it's not coming in that quick, but it's coming in. But you'll notice like there's a bunch of explanation that the AI is giving me about this chunk of code. And if you are more advanced and are just kind of skipping over this and don't want that, you can now turn this on to show only code. And now when I say write fetch request, it's just going to give me the code that it writes. And so that's kind of nice. It comes back quicker, and if you're not reading this anyway, then it gives you more real estate and everything's better that way. This is some beta functionality that I have turned on. So I could say, act like you are a cowboy. And this would send the system prompt to OpenAI, and it would the response would come back with the system prompt. This is something we put in place because there are other views we're looking at. So this is very much a developer-centric view of JavaScript. Mason, the founder of Edgar Allan, he's less of a JavaScript expert and would love to just be able to write to the AI and have the AI write the code, and then have it automatically inserted and saved. And in that world, like it would be no code, but just working with the AI. So we'll be playing around with some functionality and like figuring out those other views that will allow you to write code without actually being a developer or even having to like think about your code in this way. We'll see how far we can get with that. The AI is pretty incredible, but there are some hurdles that we'll have to figure out of just the right way to prompt the AI so that the response comes back and it's something that can be used. Another big update is the library. So this has been cleaned up a lot. This library will you can create your own snippets, and then it's available. So then you can drag it in. Like these, there's all sorts of code that I use all the time, and so um, this allows you to have your own library. We pulled back the functionality a little bit as far as like sharing your library, but that's coming soon. So we want to do a code snippet marketplace, or where you'll be able to like find a solution that somebody else wrote and pull it into your project. So that's all kind of in the works and is related to the library. There's a couple other updates that are kind of pointing to the Webflow app that we're working on. So the Webflow app has a lot less real estate, so we'll be making some updates. Like, the sidebars kind of controls everything, and that's related to what you'll see in the Webflow app one of these days. I think that's the bigger updates. But any questions or comments? Anything you'd like to see? I will say we love getting feedback from Twitter. So we'll be adding CSS because of feedback we're getting from Twitter, as well as the internal team. One of the things that came up as well was code wrapping. So in the past, it just would keep going to the right, but now we have code wrapping. And so you'll notice this gets pushed down a little bit. I just turned on code wrapping for everybody. I don't know if your preference is for code wrapping or for the opposite, but we will have an options. Like, will allow you to kind of configure your editor in the future. There's all sorts of configurations you can put into your editor. You may like Prettify, so the fact that like it or it formats your JavaScript. It's a nice feature. It's got its drawbacks. Like now, if I try to backspace or revert, it adds a bunch of like updates into your revert history, and so there are some limitations with Prettier, and so you may not even like it. You may want to turn it off. But there's all sorts of configurations that we'll be supporting in the future.